Hello, sir.
Hello.
You do look wet.
I'm very damp.
My my
Too.
my dampness is not in question here.
Oh, you know what? I got a new monitor. That's probably why everything looks weird. Do I look weird?
No, you look good. Look good.
Okay.
You look good, man. You look wet and good.
I, you know,
This
it's
is
a
gonna be the
combination.
opening. This is gonna be
It
the
most
opening.
certainly is a combination. I don't know if those words should be always conjoined. Um,
Is that a fucking payday bar?
it most certainly is.
My man with the good taste. You know what I've always wanted them to do to a payday bar, as much as I love it? Cover that bitch in chocolate.
They have those.
What are they called? I've never
It's
seen one.
literally, it's just payday and it's chocolate covered.
I've never seen a chocolate covered payday.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna look. I've looked. I've never seen one.
yeah. I've seen them at
Maybe it's a Youngstown original.
no, I've seen them over at like Getco and Walmart.
I'm gonna look now harder because I've always wanted to try one of those. What do you want to talk about today, man?
Um,
I mean, something other than your wetness.
that combined with the on mic chewing currently.
Yeah. Hey, man. It's horrible for a reason. It's horrible for a reason.
Goddamn it.
Our mission statement is
I
not
dropped a
quality.
peanut.
Our mission statement was quantity, and it's not even that anymore. I don't know why people are watching this shit anymore.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming, and you, dear listener, for whatever reason, have decided to tune into another horrible gaming podcast. But I am not alone. Usually, I'm never alone. With me is
Not me trying to chew furiously faster to make sure I don't have a mouthful of candy bar. Neil, aka Tiny Wizard.
chewing that payday like a fucking pro. His wet ass just out of the shower with a payday in his hand. This is devotion over here, ladies and gentlemen. Devotion. I take back everything else I've ever said about him being lazy and a dick. He's devoted. Full devotion.
I do appreciate it.
Yeah, so we're going to do a podcast today. It's probably going to be subpar, as per se the last 260 plus episodes have been. You're going to listen to it probably. I don't know why, but enjoy. We're gonna just do some newsy bits. Neil's got a good amount of news. Obviously, we missed you guys the last 2 weeks. Sorry, had something relatively pressing come up. Could not do the week, and then Neil always takes off for the Super Bowl, so I just couldn't get it together for the last 2 weeks. But we're back now. We're gonna read your fan traction, and then we're gonna do some newsy bits and some fan traction. Check in with you
Don't
guys,
worry.
see how everything's going.
Daddies are here.
Daddies are here. Oh man, that's our next shirt. That's our next shirt. A horrible gaming podcast. Daddies are here. I can't think of a word that less describes us, which is sad because I'm actually a father. All right. All right, we have to thank the people who help make this possible. The theme song for this show and all the shows here are provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Siders. We thank him for that. Then, of course, the behind our ugly mugs, you're seeing a custom graphic that was provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. We'll be right back with Fan Interaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment. That's Fan Interaction. That's where we, the co-hosts, we talk to you guys, the fans, wherever we find your comments and see them and read them out and chat about them and riff about them and all that fun stuff. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Right off the bat, we have William Holen, hi, exclamation point. So, about the money comment, aka people haven't that much money to spend for entertainment. I want to agree, but last week I saw that the PS5 Pro sold better than the PS4 Pro. I'm gonna say something about that when I'm all done reading
stupid.
this. So I don't know. For my off topic, I was surprised to realize I've played 6 games to completion in January. Wow, 6 games in January in 1 month? That's hecka crazy. He says, crazy for me. Thanks for the show. Hashtag GTA 6 will be 100. Okay. Listen, man. You are right. The PS5 did outsell the PS4. However, sales of PS systems and Xbox systems have been trending down for the last year. That's statistically accurate. They have been slowly going down for quite some time now, even after the releases of the new system. So, of course, the PS5 Pro is outselling whatever, but like the overall sales are slowly trending down, which, I mean, that's true. There's a lot of them that are trending down right now. So I just want to say that. As far as GTA, as far as you completing 6 games in January, that's pretty impressive. I can't complete anything anymore. I'm on a game right now that I'm like, it hurts me every day that I don't get to play it, but I don't get to play it.
That's always the worst, when you have something that you really want to play and like your adult objective brain is like, you're not going to be able to do it today, and you're just like dejected to yourself. Yeah, I guess. But then that's what you have to look forward to the next day and hope that you're able.
It's on such a whim too. Like, I played this game on a whim and I'm obsessed with it. The review of it came out this last Sunday, which is actually the day that we're recording this, but not the day that this comes out. And it's Citizen Sleeper 2, and just in Games Pass, I was trying to find something to play that I hadn't played before. I was just bored of the games that I had, and I was just trying to find something to pass time one day that I actually had some time to play, and now I can't wait to play this game again. Like, it's so amazing, and it's just this text-based game with, like, simple dice mechanics. There's no explosions or big cool fights or anything, and I just love this game. It's like TTRPG in the game. Like, I don't know. For me, it reminds me of like a modernized Lone Wolf, like the old Lone Wolf books, which I think were before your time. But they were like,
yes.
They're choose your own adventures, but like one step further, where you actually have like a character sheet and you roll, and there's like a combat system. So they're like kind of solo RPGs. Like, that's what this game feels like, and I love this game. But yeah, so 6 games in a month, pretty sweet, man. Congratulations on that.
I don't think I've ever fully completed a game in general. No, I lied. One single game.
Like, are you talking like 100% complete? I don't think that's what he's complete. Saying. He's saying he just got through the story.
Just
I'm pretty
credits.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think he's saying he 100%ed those games.
Yeah, because I don't do that very often.
I can only think of one as well, Bastion. I got all the achievements on Bastion.
For me, it was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, Bastion was the only game that I got every achievement, completed the game on all difficulties, all endings, everything. Continuing, Jason, you have to be that egotistical. Dude, it's Elon Musk. He's that egotistical. Yeah, he's a real piece of shit, isn't he? All right. Moving on, I think that's all we have to say. Expedition 33, another Jason comment. Expedition 33 sounded interesting back when it was first announced, but the Dev Direct totally turned me off to it. I was expecting something more dark and dramatic, but it looks goofy and stupid. I'm not going to lie. So I had slightly different, like, it's still not a game that I want to rush out and play, but the combat system just really intrigues me for some reason. Just that, like, combination of, like, tactical JRPG with actual, like, twitch button pressing fighting game mechanics. I don't know. There's just something about it that it makes me interested, but I understand that there's nothing about the story that's doing it for me. Plus, I've been really and this has been building for a while, but I have a real problem with games that don't let me make my own character anymore. Like, I don't know why, but like games that like force characters down my throat, and that makes it sound bad. I don't think that it's a bad thing that there are games where you play a character and you're done, but like, I don't know, like, it immediately turns me off to it. I have no idea why. And Expedition 33, there is no created character. You play the characters they already have there, you know?
Yeah, I've never really had that problem.
Yeah, I know you're more of a narrative.
Yeah. Guy. Yeah, but that's I think that's like the only real difference that I can find with that sort of thing, like, is the fact that, you know, those tailor-made experiences, those single player, you know, offline, whatever, typically are, here is the story to be presented to you, and this is what you are to do with it, and then you go from there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe that's part of it. Like, I don't know. When the story is just like, here's the story, and you're playing through it. Like, I'm like, man, I could have just watched the movie. Like, I don't know. When I'm going to play video games nowadays, and again, I don't want to knock anybody else's experiences. Everybody plays video games for something different. This isn't like me saying all those games should go away. I'm just saying, like, for me in general, like, I just want a more immersive experience as far as, like, me building the universe, me being part of the universe. You know, I feel like that's what games can do for me, and that's the experience I want to get from them. If I want to consume story-based content, I'll watch a movie, I'll read a book, I'll listen to an audiobook, I'll listen to, you know, a webisode, you know, something like that, you know? I don't know, there's just something about when video games are involved with me, I want it to be immersive. I want to be able to make my part in it. And like games like Indiana Jones, didn't even try to download it. Whether I would have never given it a fair shake, and I know that there was probably people out there that are like, with the amount you talked about it, you should have reviewed it. But like, I never would have even given it a fair shake because it's just an Indiana Jones storyline that I'm playing through, and that immediately turns me off. I'd rather just watch an Indiana Jones movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just my feel on it. And again, it's just me. I'm not saying anybody's wrong for that, you know?
Yeah, it is one of those things, especially like when it, like the Indiana Jones game. It's like, this is literally a movie but turned into a game. Like, there's a line for sure. Like, I'm okay with a cinematic story that is like adjacent to, so like the Uncharted's always get that line drawn to them of, oh, it's like Indiana Jones, but it's like a different thing. That's fine. Indiana Jones just took it like to the nth degree, basically.
Yeah, it did. And I don't know, like, I also have a review up for Eternal Strands, which came out on Monday, and again, there was just something about that where, like, I can't create a character where I'm like, I immediately got sad. Like, it was immediately like a point against in my own head for the fun level of my game, even though there was a lot of like customizable aspects to it, you know? I don't know. But we'll move on. Rockstar exists off GTA Online microtransactions because people insist on buying in-game cash, when it's so easy to get that money in-game nowadays by, you know, playing the game, says Jason. He then says, and you're lay it out there, which I don't know what that means is a reply to that comment, so I'm not exactly sure what he means by the you're lay it out there, but I think that it's just such a ridiculous prospect in games, especially when you can earn the games. So like For Honor, I've been playing For Honor for off and on for basically its entire lifespan. I've talked about it multiple times on the game, on this podcast and on the channel. Hell, there's content for Honor on this content. For Honor, all of the in-game currency is earnable in-game. It's called Steel, and you earn it through doing stuff, period. Every match you play, you get a little Steel. It's a small amount, it's a drip feed, but you get a little Steel. Characters, like, they start locked Like, you have to pay money for them if you want to have that immediate access. But they start locked, then they turn into like 15,000 steel, then they drop down to 10,000, then they drop down to 8,000, and they sit there. And it's a lot of steel, but like you can earn it in a few weeks. I don't know why anyone would spend money on steel ever. Like, why wouldn't you just play the game? Like, that's the content of the game. And like, of course, that's where they make their money. That's how that game exists. It's how it's continued to exist for, 10 plus years. Is, I'm sure people immediately go online. They drop the $9 to get new steel, to then buy the new characters or to do whatever they want. And I have no earthly idea why. Like, to me, that's the whole point of the game. Is like, especially with games like that the whole idea is to earn the in-game currency. Why would you buy your way to it? Because that's the play. That's the play of it,
That was one of the first issues that I had with Halo 5. Halo 5 was them dipping their toe into that realm to where you play games and, get a currency, or you can just buy it. Just buy it and have it and just get all the stuff. I preferred how they had it in Halo Reach, to where you just get a credit allotment every single time you finish a multiplayer. It was like based on your skill, and then there was just like a random jackpot that would hit too, that just tacked on to that. So, eventually you save all your credits up and you go buy armor pieces and armor effects and stuff like that.
Right.
That's how it used to be. And I guess because we have to make all of the money off of all of the things all of the time now, we're not allowed to have games like that anymore.
Yeah, it's strange to me because like I said, for me, like, I get it. I get that that's how they make their money. So they want you to be able to pay for it. But at the same time, like, when I'm playing a game like that, right? Like, like, that's the achievement, right? Like, like, other than winning the match, obviously winning the match is great, but winning the match is a very temporary thing. Like, you're never going to meet those people again. The odds are you're never going to fight them again. Like, you're gonna, hey, that was a match, bye, we're out. You know what I mean? Unless it's some sort of weird tournament or ranking thing. Most likely it's just a throwaway match for 20 minutes to 40 minutes, and then you move on. At least that's how it is in For Honor. Very rarely do I meet the same people over and over again. I mean, I've been playing long enough that I do now, and the community has gotten smaller. It's down to, like, its core people, so I do see people sometimes regularly, but, like, still, even that, it's like 2 months in between when I was like, oh, I'm fighting that person again, I think that, like, but to me, still, at the end of the match, there's that status screen. Here's your performance. Here's how you did. This is what you earned. Here's the steel that you earned. That's the achievement. That's the win. That's what you're playing for. You know what I mean? That's the same as, like, beating the level of a narrative game, Or like killing the monster in Monster Hunter Hunt. Like, that's the achievement, is getting the reward. So, like, if you just spend your money to get there, like, you're defeating the point of the achievement, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I just don't get that. Like, I've never gotten that, especially in games where all the in-game currency is earnable. And in fairness, the game wouldn't exist if people didn't, right? So it's kind of hypocritical for me to even say that. Because, like, the game only exists because of a thing that I don't want to happen, that I think is stupid that it happens, But, like, at the same time, I've never understood that. Like, that's the fun. Like, I'm not going to lie. When I get up to the 8,000 or 15,000 steel to actually get a new hero, it's like, fuck, yes, now I can dive into a new hero. I've achieved this thing, Like, to just buy it seems so silly to me, I don't know. Just my thought on it, I guess. And then finally, Jason goes, Dungeons and Daddies sounds like something other than what it probably is. ... Yeah, it is a podcast, if I am not mistaken, about a bunch of fathers who play Dungeons and Dragons together, correct?
No.
Oh, never mind. I am wrong. Okay.
No, a couple of the guys.
I thought it was like a dad RPG group.
No, it actually refers more to the actual characters in the game.
Okay.
Basically, it's just a bunch of dads who are taking their kids to a soccer game, get sucked into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. But that's like, yeah, they're like forced to adapt. Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
That is not what I thought it was at all. That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, and then they had one of the other seasons where they're the children of those, of those of those parents. But they did actually have one episode as a goof. It was a completely one-off thing, but they always start it with Dungeons and Daddies, not a BDSM podcast, except one time they go on a BDSM side quest.
It was the most requested.
Yeah. It's hilarious. It's absolutely 100% hilarious. And they start having like running gags to determine whether or not they could shape a firewall. They would play a game on a computer and the level that you got determined how well it was. And then they start doing like actual things where they there was one, they did the conceit was one of the fathers was on trial for just being such a shitty dad. And the episode was two lawyers making their points. And then the audience actually decided the verdict.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they do tons of stuff like that. It's really good and out of the box.
That's a cool. That almost sounds like that. I listened to so many episodes of this podcast, then I kind of fell out of it. It was that. What's it called? It's like Magic Tavern, I think, or something like that. Where Hello from the Magic Tavern. That's what it's called. It's like a guy from Chicago, an improviser from Chicago, gets sucked through a magical portal between Wendy's and ends up in a tavern with a wizard and a talking badger. And then they interview people from the world, and then it turns into a quest and a storyline and everything. And I was very into that for a long time. But it sounds a lot like that, actually. So, all right. Well, that's Fan Interaction, guys. There's Dungeons and Daddies. Now you all know what it is. And, we're going to just do some news today. Have a nice, easy show back. And then, that'll be it. So we'll be back with the news.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're skipping a talking point in light of the news today. Our friend Neil here collects news stories that he wants to talk about, he wants to tell you guys about, he wants to tell me about, wants to riff about. So Neil has 5. I'm sure there are a lot of lackluster bullshit to complain about, because that's what we do here.
I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll go through the funny ha-has and the other dumb things. And there's one that's kind of splintered off from its initial thing. So we could elaborate further on that.
All right. Take us through your labyrinthian maze of news.
So I forgot to write the name of this down. I'm more so leaning on you being able to provide this, because I know you know about it. There's somehow still more content coming to No Man's Sky, and I feel like now I'm officially impressed that they've kept kept going after all this time.
There are no microtransactions in that game. No microtransactions in that game, and they are still doing updates to it. What are we, 11, 12 years later now?
Yeah.
It is insane what we're looking at with that. And so they had Worlds Part 1, which was a fine update, but it was more like some graphical fidelity. They did a new water thing and whatnot, and a couple of new world things that you could interact with, but very small. Then they just did Worlds 2, which basically redefines how the worlds graphically render, how the creatures come in. They added a bunch of different biomes, a bunch of different things to discover, crazy new events. That game is massive. And what's crazy is I just started playing it with my daughter, and she got it this time around, and it was fun because she would just go to a planet and be like, "Dad, look at this thing. Look at this thing." We immediately went to a planet where the first thing she found were these giant balls of condensed fire that were creatures that just rolled around, and they changed colors when you got near them. She got so excited. And then we flew to another planet where there was these creatures that would burrow around underground, and then they'd jump out, and when they jumped out, they were multicolored faceted angels that would then jump back in. Like, that game is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I just want to say out there, to anybody out there who thinks that a game cannot be successful without microtransactions post-launch for an extended period of time, you have, like, whatever, like, do what No Man's Sky is doing. You know what I mean? Like this is, like, and they shouldn't be successful. And anybody out there who's like, oh, they're just surviving on their original money. They didn't have original money. This is an indie company that was basically surviving on hype from No Man's Sky, which immediately got deflated when that game got a 6 out of 10 from IGN and went down the fucking tubes. Then they have done nothing but work on it for the last 9 years to bring it to the absolute masterpiece that it is today. So, like I don't know what else to say about it, you know?
And what's funny too is this all happened. The redemption arc basically started somewhere around when what's it called? Anthem went dark, and you gotta wonder. You really gotta wonder. Like, if Anthem would have been around had it got that, like, Anthem Next update with, like, the pirates and stuff like that.
Wanted it so bad. As the only person who loved that game, I feel like. And I loved it. Like, I know that it was very repetitive and their loot drop system was abysmal. I'm not arguing that. There was serious problems with that game. But just playing it, getting in the suit, flying around, doing the combat was absolutely so much fun. And the builds of the mechs were like, not the mechs, the suits were like, they were so cool to, like, play with the effects of the weaponry and then play with the shaders and make it look like whatever you wanted. Like, there was something really magical about that game for me. I would still be playing it today. Like, I know it's still, the servers aren't dark, like, they're still up, but, like, I'd still be playing it today if I thought even remotely that it was going to continue to get updates. It was just such a fucking cool, like, in its baseline, it was such a cool game, and it just never got that real fair shake to try and come back. And that's EA. That's on EA.
Don't worry, they're coming back up later.
I know they are. When aren't they?
Grab my face. So from there, this one's relatively quick. I think it's hilarious and sad all at the same time. Multiversus is officially shutting down on May 30th.
This is so depressing.
They said it didn't resonate with people in the way that they wanted. It's got such a weird history because the game came out initially and then they had it go down for like a year and a half while they retooled it and relaunched it. And they had, what was it, like 3 seasons, like 3 bonus characters, and they were like, yeah, nah.
Well, they've gotten like 5 now. They've gotten like 5.
Yeah, something like that.
It's been around for a little bit now, a cup of coffee.
Well, it's funny too because, you know, the first time around when they shut down, they pissed everybody off because people spent money on that game, and they were like, "Yeah, none of your stuff is going to transfer over," and then they got those people back in, and now it's going down again already, permanently this time.
You know what's really problem with this is, people liked this game. This game was fundamentally critically well received. It was a actual, like, alternative to Super Smash Brothers. You know, not even just to Super Smash Brothers, but to Brawlhalla and the beast that is in that space. So you had this game, people bought it, and then they shut it down. Did not give those people any love whatsoever. Then they brought it back as a free-to-play, even though they didn't give any of those original people any love. It had some issues, but the most recent update that they put up with the notice of this is probably going to be our last update, fixed a lot of the balancing issues that the game had. So there was now a hashtag, a trending hashtag of save multiverses. So here's my problem. And this has been my problem with all of these games with the trending. If you are able to get a trending hashtag of save X game, right? You have players. You have players there. So what this boils down to is a mismanagement of resources on a corporate level, which, let's face it, is most of the problems facing modern day gaming is a mismanagement of corporate of funds on a corporate level. What you have here is they spent too much money to make this game. They didn't make enough originally. Then they spent more money while it was shut down, not making anything. And then when it came up and was up for 5 years, it needed to make a certain amount, and it didn't make an amount. I would love to see how much it actually did make. Because my thought process is it was making money. I'm pretty positive it was making money, or we wouldn't be in this position of like Save Multiverses. It's just it wasn't making enough for them. And this is the problem is we have these games as service games. We've been talking about this forever. We have a games as service game for companies like we'll do a Destiny, we'll do a Smash Brothers, we'll do a Brawlhalla, we'll do this, and we'll just make a ton of money. But these games don't make money day one. They never have, and they never will. Like, well, maybe they have, but like they don't anymore. What you have to do is you have to put them out there, you have to gain trust with your audience, and you have to build a player base because you're trying to take players away from games that already exist with established player bases that will come back regularly on and on and on and on. In the case of Multiverses, you have to take people away from Brawlhalla. You have to take people away in a lesser amount from Smash Brothers. Like, that's not going to happen easily. You can't just open a game and do that. You certainly can't do it with all the bullshit that you pulled leading up to this. So, like, my thought process is if you've got a hashtag stay multiverses, my thing is like, they spent too much money on the game, expected too much in return, and that's why everybody has to suffer.
Yeah, I mean, that was the operative word, enough. Because all of these games, the ballooning budgets, the increased development times, everything like that, I feel like, especially at least on a single player game, there is the expectation that it's going to make the money back because outside of a DLC or something like that, you really don't get another opportunity. But yeah, with these live service games, like, I don't understand what calculus goes into other than just looking at other live service games out there and the averages that they make monthly. It's like somebody's got to be throwing a dart at the wall or something.
I really think that's what it is. I really think it's like, look at how much they made. Let's just do that. And then they kind of try and copy that. And I'm not even saying it's a copy from a full set because I think the devs make good attempts at this. I don't think these games coming out are lazy games. I think it's the devs are trying and they can't do it because what they're trying to do is impossible. And like, there is a reason that the indie game companies are able to create these live experiences that last, and the AAA companies aren't. And personally, I think it's because AAA game companies throw money at all their problems. They always have. That's what they do. They throw money at it. We need to make that, throw this huge amount of money at it. The problem is, though, is to justify its existence, you have to make that money back. That, in concept alone, works for big AAA releases that don't have huge footprints on the back end because you're just trying to make the sales back, right? Don't get me wrong, everybody out there. I still think they're spending too much on those. But when we're looking just at the games as surface, you can't throw that much money at it. You have to there's a reason these games come from early access, betas, like that kind of stuff, and become successful because those game companies are like, we have a concept here. It requires a games as service model. We're going to put it into early access or beta. We're going to have the people come and give us some money for it. And then they're going to help us build that experience moving forward. They do it much more cost effectively than your AAA game companies. And that's the problem, is that AAA game companies are doing everything based on numbers on a spreadsheet, period. you know. And it's not numbers on a spreadsheet over a long haul. It's number on a spreadsheet instantaneously. And you can't do that with a games of service game.
Yeah, or like within a set period of time, or
Yes.
what their expectation is. If A and B do not happen, then C cannot occur.
Yeah, period. Yep, exactly. There's no there's no one to look at Multiverses and be like, look, man, it's making money. It's just not making it at the speed in which you wanted it to make money, you know? Maybe we put too much money in the first place. Maybe we shouldn't have taken it down. Maybe we shouldn't make it a for sale game at the first place. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many mistakes that led into that.
Yeah, 100%. So the next one is a little bit of a twofer before we dive into the one that will have a little bit longer of a conversation. The first half of this is, I'm sure you heard about the PSN outage.
Yes.
PSN was down.
Have they finally said why? Because everybody keeps asking why, and they keep saying with no comment.
So
basically.
they said an operational error or something like that. But you know, after the PSN hack, nobody believes it.
No, they've been hacked before, man.
Yeah. But the real juice to this berry is gonna be GameStop.
There's another shirt right there. You're turning them out to there. And the juice to this berry.
GameStop decided that they would have a little a funny, a goof, and post, bet y'all want physical copies now. And it backfired spectacularly. They were lit up with various things. One of them here, an image. Yeah, let me just go to my local GameStop and grab some physical and it's just rows of Funko Pops. The other one said, "Oh, so you can give me 6 cents for all of them?"
I mean, it's hysterical to me because none of that would have, us having physical copies doesn't matter nowadays. We still have to install hardware and play on the PlayStation Network.
Right.
Fucking idiots. Hell, half the games that you buy physical copies for just comes with a code that you download the game with. You fucking hacks.
I'm sure you saw too that there's rumblings of GameStop taking on crypto. So
I still cannot believe GameStop is around. And actually, around me, it's not. All my GameStop stores within 2 miles of me don't exist anymore. So I don't know. You speak of this thing. It has become myth. It's like Will Smith. It's like legend.
Yeah, it is funny. I mean, even myself, the diehards are not going into GameStops anymore.
No. Why?
The last few games that I've purchased, I've either gotten a physical pre-order or, from a different place. I actually had started buying some of my games from Best Buy.
I mean, Walmart has better prices. If you're on that Walmart Plus, it's way better prices to buy a game to them than fucking GameStop. Yeah. And Walmart takes in trades now, from what I understand.
Yeah, they've done that for a while.
Yeah.
It's just, they just don't do it a whole heck of a lot anymore.
I'm on a PC. I can't play a physical game if I wanted to. So
this next one is kind of the larger one because it's been talk for a while here.
All right.
EA, BioWare, there's been so much shit.
Oh yes.
So this actually started with BioWare. Basically, they alluded to the fact that they were doing layoffs because Veilguard was done in development. They are now down to less than 100 people. The estimates before were somewhere around 200 plus, from my understanding. So half their staff is gone, which really, really indicates there's a lot of shit riding on the next Mass Effect, because it's the only thing that they have announced that they've got going on. They've already laid off half the staff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, EA said that Veilguard failed because live service elements were removed. Their explanation was we didn't make it for a broad enough public, as they're including those who look purely for live service elements in their games. There really wasn't a super need for that, being, like a single player game, basically. I don't know. It's everybody's just, chomping at the bit to find the next big thing, but in them looking for the next big thing, they sure are really stuck in the same like mindset of looking for one or two things.
How many times are we going to go down this route of we just have to keep doing, like, it's like watching somebody bang a head against a wall. Like, you cannot take players away. Like, all the games and service games that are going to be successful have come out for now. Like, maybe one or two, but for the most part, they're all out. They're all out there because every player who looks for games as service games is playing their games as service. A games as service player plays one game. He has little dalliances, but he plays one game over and over and over and over and over and over again. He always comes back to it. Maybe he's got 2 or 3, but still, those games are it. Okay? He's got his Battle Royale. He's got his Fortnite. He's got his fucking Fall Guys. Like, that's the game he keeps coming back to. You can't take him away from that. He has hours upon hours. Like, he has labor put into that game. I keep saying he or she. They are in that ecosystem. They're not leaving that ecosystem for your fucking knockoff. Number one. Number two, Veilguard, and we just talked about this. I wish I had saved my comments. Dragon Age Veilguard was not a failure. Sorry, guys, it wasn't. It sold a ton of copies. It was critically acclaimed. I know there's a lot of people who don't like it out there, and honestly, it didn't look really great to me, so I didn't try it. But as far as just, it sold plenty good and had critical reception. The reason that they're calling it a failure is they put too much money into it. It has been in development for 8 fucking years now?
Something like that.
Like, it was in development for 8 fucking years. That is all money that they have to make back. That's the problem, is that they're like, we didn't make what we needed to make. It had, which just letting you all know, it was never going to make that. It's not going to make that because there's not enough fucking people on the planet with a game system to play it to make that much. Okay, for 8 years of development in a AAA game studio. Come on, it's fucking ridiculous. So, again, this is mismanagement. You took 8 years to make a game. You threw untold fortunes at it, and you thought that we all had money to buy on it, releasing it, basically going into potentially a terrible economic time where inflation is super high, people do not have a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, what did you expect? I don't understand. Like, and for him to stand up there and say it wasn't a success because it didn't have games as service options is the most asinine, backwards ass thing that I've ever heard. It was not a success because it couldn't have been a success. It could not have possibly made enough money for it to satiate whatever demons you put into that fucking thing. It had nothing to do with how many games as service people would have gone to it. And just to say this, anybody who is chomping at the bit for Dragon Age 4 is not like, not enough loot boxes. Okay? That didn't keep them away. Right? Like, you have to sell to your base, and your base is Dragon Age fans. And I'm pretty positive every Dragon Age fan out there bought that fucking game. And it's still not a success. So, whose fault is that? You know,
at this point too, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think BioWare's already dead.
Yes.
Yeah. Because 100%. here's the problem.
I don't think we're going to see another Mass Effect game.
No,
not from BioWare.
I think we will. I think we will, but it's going to be their very last game, and it's going to ruin the legacy.
Oh yeah,
of BioWare, of Mass Effect, everything, because at this point, guaranteed, 100% guaranteed, there are going to be forced live service elements in this last Mass Effect game.
Yeah.
Think about it. We have Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 are like regarded as one of the best, space opera, sci-fi games out there. Then we had the other Mass Effect, Andromeda. I struggle to remember its name because it really didn't resonate with a ton of people.
I know. I was like one of the only people who liked that.
So we already know that there's a 1, 2, and 3 that were well received. We have this last one was not, and everybody's like, "Hey, there's a new one coming," but every indication is they're just killing off staff. Well, not killing off staff, laying off staff to eventually kill the studio.
And you're going to do a Destiny with Mass Effect, and you already had BioWare try to do a Destiny with Anthem. We saw how that failed. So, like,
live service multiplayer they did in what was it, Mass Effect 2, I think it was, and that went over so well.
Yeah, they also had a mode in 3, and
the Galactic Readiness.
Which was obnoxious because you kind of had to do it to get the good ending in the original 3.
Yep.
Which made people furious. I think that it's insane. I don't know where they're getting this data or who's telling them that, but you just look at the internet and you watch them scream at them like, "Hey, we don't want any more lives of service," and then they just come back with, "We're gonna make you some more lives of service." It's insanity, and the idea that you would want a game like Dragon's Age to just become, and don't get me wrong, I think a massive multiplayer games as service Dragon Age game would be really cool. I think it's a really cool universe to do that in. But you don't want the next mainline entry to be that. And that is certainly not why people didn't buy it. You know what I mean? Like, same with Mass Effect. I would love a games as service Mass Effect where I could just make my character and just go out and do my thing. That is not what people want. Okay? That is not what people want. Like, it's insane to me to think that that's what they're blaming this on, And I think they got ripped an asshole by both the Larian developers, which I love that guy. Like, every time another developer says something stupid, he just gets out and goes, "No, that's dumb." Like, I love that. I think he ripped him an asshole, and I think one of his own developers in BioWare said something about, like, why would we make the game different? Like, why would we make this role-playing game a games of service game? Like, that's not why it failed,
Right. Yeah, it goes back to those unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
People are running out of ideas because they've tried all like the loot boxes and microtransactions and season passes and everything like that, and this has been like the last bastion.
Yeah.
Effectively, turn it into a live service to squeeze, some extra cash out of it. We have success stories, out there that, you can make a good single player game that's going to sell well enough to make your money back if you just, I don't know, try.
We've got a lot. And again, the other thing is too, there is a way to do it that is not put it in development hell and throw money at it. Like, how many times have we heard about Dragon's Age 4 in the last, 8 years? Like, this sucker got announced forever ago. We got trailers.
It underwent a name change.
That means that there were people working on it. That means there was money going to it. There was people every day coming in and going to work. Like, you threw too much money at it. Okay, for it to ever make enough money back. It's just the simple facts,
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
I
think we covered that. That was it?
That was it.
That was the last one? Oh,
Yeah, like I said, I kind of rolled that one, and there was a couple of my
You didn't want to talk about the fact that Days Gone is getting a remaster, so we can do that whole
No, you know
that
what?
creator
No.
bullshit again.
No, because you know why? Like it's the same thing I said to another dude that I work with. I did not. First off, I didn't watch the State of Play. I was excited the morning of it when I was like, oh yeah, shit, there's a State of Play. I can't wait to watch that later on after I come home from work.
That State of Play was rough.
Well, I was just like, I really have been kind of disappointed with the last few ones. So like, I don't think there's really going to be anything there. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just do the thing where I look at the highlights. And sure enough, the only thing I really gave one single solitary shit about was the announced date for Borderlands 4. Oh God. Yeah.
And that to me just looks like a reskin of the last one. I feel like they're coasting a little bit too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. They absolutely are. And honestly, I don't think the big issue that I had with Wonderlands was just kind of like the story part of it. But I mean, like, I don't know, like Borderlands 3 is very much a sequel to Borderlands 2, which is very much a sequel to Borderlands 1. I'm not expecting the wheel to be reinvented here. This is one of those games where like it looks like Melee is going to be, an actual viable option in this game too, which is nice because I do like to run up on dudes.
What I don't like is and this is not something that has never affected you, which is great. But I don't like when like I start like there's always like a meta build and then everything else is kind of useless past a point.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Like I hate that like all my shit becomes useless. Like it just kills my interest to play it so quickly. Yeah, the Days Gone baffles me because that game didn't sell, was a failure, so much so that the creator of it went basically insane. Just absolutely insane. I can't even begin to go through all the crazy shit he did after that was a failure. But it was still a failure. Like, no one liked the game. So who is asking for a remaster of a game nobody liked? I don't understand this. It blows my mind. And so we're getting a remaster. Not only are we getting a remaster of a game we didn't like, but we're getting a remaster of a game we didn't like, like 3 years after the first one came out? like what's happening? So we're that desperate that we're remastering bad games 2 years after they come out? We're that out of ideas, shit.
That's what I was telling the individual that I work with. Hey, like they're redoing a game, like you said, that nobody likes, that nobody played, that nobody wanted in the first place. The dude absolutely went insane, and this State of Play basically was so bad.
I can't wait for the remaster of Suicide Squad in a year.
It was so bad that I saw a ton of articles about people like being concerned about the future PlayStation. But then just today I saw a news article that apparently, even though they had this shit show, that their forecasts for console sales are increased so much that they're changing their targets for like this year or something like that.
Really?
When
maybe I'm wrong. The last time I heard, all the console sales were down.
Oh yeah, no. For PlayStation, for standard PS5s and everything, they just said that they were just adjusting their expectations in a positive way because of how well they did or whatever. I mean, it's year over year comparative, not like comparing previous generations or anything like that. That's a whole totally different discussion. But yeah, I don't. Amid not having anything to show, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, we're expecting everyone to get consoles even more so." I don't get it. They have to have something coming this summer. I don't know. But I don't. That's the thing is they would have outside. The only thing that I can really recall off the top of my head outside of Grand Theft Auto, which is going to be on all consoles, is going to be the I just lost it already. That's what happens when you have one thing. That's what happens when you have one thing.
There is an aspect to this that I just might be a 43-year-old
Wolverine.
Wolverine. Yeah, but that's not coming this year, is it?
Nobody's heard anything about it since its initial announcement.
There is an aspect to maybe I'm just a 43-year-old man who's completely out of touch with the world, which it's truly possible because there are things that I just do not fathom in gaming anymore, and I'm slowly becoming like out of touch with it. That I just don't even like it. It blows my mind when I see it happening. But all right, well, if we're done with news, let's wrap this bad boy up.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Before I give Neil a chance to promote, just in case I use it, in between the two sections, I always use bonus for bonus or openings. I may use We Talk About Cobra Kai in the end. If you hear us start to talk about Cobra Kai, we are going to spoil the ending for you if you have not seen it. So, stop
very
listening.
Very thoroughly.
If I add that as a bonus, stop listening. I think the opening I'm going to use us talking about how wet Neil is. All right, so Neil, what do you want to promote?
Nothing in particular. It's been pretty light on this side.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I think it's not anything, I wouldn't call it a plug, but I'm definitely going to have pictures of Kayla's computer once I finally start throwing that together.
I'm excited. Yeah, we got to get some more stuff going. I know I've been saying this for the last few weeks, but I need to actually start. I'm starting to finally get used to my insane place of business.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing is, too, while I can't do every night in the summer because they'll throw my schedule off, I definitely could do, like, one. You know what I mean? So I think what I need to do is just pick what things I really want to get done or get ahead on when it comes to like the actual play stuff and whatnot, and those be the ones I work on over the summer so that they're ready to go when I go back to school for bus driving. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be the plan. The only thing I would definitely like to get done is that second hunt of Ordo.
Oh yeah,
it's got to happen. As far as plugs for me, I'm going to keep this night sweet. I kind of already did them I actually got around to doing 2 more reviews for Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector, which I really loved, and Eternal Strands, which is a good game, just not for me. Check those out. They're already up on the channel. Other than that, you can check out this. If you're a TTRPG person, I do a bi-weekly podcast with Wizard's Respite that comes out every other Friday about tabletop role-playing games and all things in between. And then, of course, there is Old Man General Manager, where me and Grandpa Gamer say inappropriate things to each other while we book against each other in GM mode. We're going to try and do this again next week. You guys can, of course, reach us on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH, on X at Old Man Gaming 9. You can join our Discord. The link's in the description below. Influences and all of our shows from there. You can also find us on Blue Sky. Just search up Axiom Games LLC / Old Man Gaming, especially since I am very, very, very seriously thinking about leaving Facebook and X behind. So, that is definitely the place to find us if you want to find us. Other than that, you guys, as long as you keep watching and you keep listening, I will endeavor to keep making them, at least at some point. See you guys next week. Pause.
Did you finish Cobra Kai?
Oh, I did.
You did? Okay.
I did. Dude, my wife was like, wanted to watch Traitors because we've been watching Traitors. And I was like, you want to watch Traitors instead of Cobra Kai right away? All right, I guess. But we're watching Cobra Kai immediately. We finished it within 48 hours. Fucking love that show. I already miss it. I just already miss it. It's so over the top and so, like, beyond jumping the shark with its shit that, like, I already miss it. Like, everything they did in that show was just so ridiculous.
The Kreese and Terry Silver fight.
Oh my god!
On the ship
when they had the choir playing, when the cigar, like as the cigar went to the air. Oh my god.
However, I am glad that it ended like kind of how it did.
Yeah, so am I.
Because there's another guy I work with who like grew up with the Karate Kid movies when he was a kid, and we were talking about it and everything. And I had said to him before I saw anything, I was like, this isn't gonna end until Kreese has some sort of turnaround to where he regrets all of his decisions, and then that somebody's actually going to lose, and that's gonna be okay. And that's when like they backed out and refused to fight, and I'm like, bro, fucking what? This is fantastic.
Here it is. Yeah, I was so excited because I called the one twist.
Which one?
The one where like Satori was alone and like Miyagi-Do was backing out, and I paused it and I looked at my wife and I was like, do you realize what's gonna happen? And she's like looking at me and I was like, Miguel is going to be the guy. He's going to take the guy in Cobra Kai, and then Zabka's going to come out with them. That's how this is going to end. It's going to come full circle. Cobra Kai's going to come back. I was so excited about that. And then the Thunderstruck happens as they're walking out, and I'm like, yes! I'm so hard right now.
And what sucks too is like we finished it yesterday, and we were, partaking a little bit, but I was.
It's a good show to partake on.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, like I had my moments of clarity. Like, dude, whenever like Kreese actually says something to Johnny, I already started tearing up, and then whenever Kreese finds him the second time he goes about it, and he has this whole like emotional meltdown.
Trash.
I was crying. I was actively crying there.
I actually cried at that part too. And like, I didn't know William Zabka could act that well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, where has this been for 5 previous seasons? Like, holy shit. And I was actually kind of pissed because Ralph Macchio's best acting came during that terrible AI scene, which was the only only misstep was showing his face and having him talk to him. I'm like, oh my god, bros, that you can't do Pat Morita's AI face and voice. That's terrible. But then his acting was the best it's ever
real.
Been too.
Yeah. I feel like both of them. Like I feel like they have. Those characters basically are them at this point. They have to have this deeper emotional attachment.
Yeah, they do.
And I feel like both of those scenes were actual legitimate, like it wasn't acting there, it was emotion.
Yeah, I agree. I loved every part of that. I also really liked Tori. Her, like, when you think about where she started, like, she was literally trying to kill people, like, and now she's like the heroine. Like, there's so much great character development there, even as ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous and over the top as that show was. This is just so jumped the shark. Like, when they were describing, first of all, I do want to say this to all Cobra Kai people out there. Whoever was writing that, I know that you guys used to write for WWE. I 100% do, because your storylines are basically wrestling storylines. Number one. Number two, you guys never name a tournament 2 words that nobody's going to pronounce the same way. Like Sekai Tekai was said differently every fucking Sekai Tiki. Like, everybody who said it, even that Gunther guy, said it differently every time he fucking said it. I'm like, guys, you guys should have just said tournament here. Like, this is terrible. Like, international championship tournament. Don't say weird words, because none of your actors can say them the same.
No.
But yeah, I will miss that show quite fervently.
The only thing that I was really hoping, that, because I knew that there was a post-credit scene, I didn't know it was just like a goof.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have somehow led into, because we already know, because of the trailer for Karate Kid Legends, that somehow, Daniel's still in this.
Yeah.
So I was hoping for some sort of like MCU style teaser of because that's almost what it is now.
The extended universe of Karate Kid.
It's an extended universe. I feel like it's time to revisit the next Karate Kid.
Yes, yes. I would
Which
love
is the only one I haven't
a
seen.
series about Bobby and Tori just being karate couple all the way. Like, yeah. The only problem is that all of those kids, quote unquote kids, are actually like 35-year-old people.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
I don't think they can pass anymore is the problem.
No.
But you could always just do a show about them being adults. You know what I mean? Like, oh, a bunch of time passed. They're adults now. We don't have to worry about that shit anymore. This is
Right.
them 10 years later because it actually is them 10 years later.